Let's be honest. At some point, almost all of us have looked around and thought, am I behind? You open social media and it feels like everybody else is winning. They're posting the luxury vacations, the new car, the dream kitchen, the smiling family in the perfect house. And meanwhile, you're sitting there wondering why your paycheck disappears so fast. But here's the truth. A lot of what you see online is highlight reel money, not real life money. So today, let's strip away the filters. Let's stop guessing. Let's stop comparing. And let's look at the actual financial reality of the average American. What does the typical person really earn? What do they really spend? How much debt are they really carrying? And how much have they actually saved for retirement? Because once you know the real numbers, you stop feeling ashamed and you start getting strategic. And by the end of this video, you won't just know where you stand, you'll know exactly how to get ahead. First, let's talk income versus spending, because this is where the pressure starts. The latest median weekly earnings for a full-time worker in America are about $1,204 a week. That sounds decent until you stretch it across the year. That's roughly $62,000 annually before taxes. Now, here's the part that hits hard. The average household in America is spending about $78,500 a year. That's roughly $6,545 a month. Let that sink in. The typical household is spending far more than one median individual income brings in. And of course, part of that is because many households have more than one earner, but it still explains why so many people feel like they're constantly running uphill. Because the big categories are brutal. Housing alone averages about $26,000 a year. That's roughly $2,189 every month. Food runs a little over $10,000 a year. That's about $847 a month. Transportation, more than $13,000 a year, or around $1,110 a month. So if you've ever felt like your paycheck is gone before you even get a chance to breathe, you are not bad with money just because you feel squeezed. You are living in an economy where the basics are expensive. And that's important to understand because too many people blame themselves before they ever look at the math. Now, that doesn't mean you're powerless. It just means the pressure you feel is real. And once you accept that, you can stop pretending everything is fine and start making better decisions. Which brings us to the next big problem, debt. Because for a lot of people, debt is the silent reason they can't get ahead. The average credit card balance in America is now about $6,735. And yes, for many households, it's much higher than that. And the real danger is not just the balance, it's the interest. A lot of card APRs are hovering around 22%. So if you're carrying a balance month after month, you are not just paying for what you bought, you are paying extra over and over for the privilege of being behind. That's why credit card debt is such a wealth killer. You can be contributing to retirement, you can be trying to invest, you can be doing your best to move forward. But if high interest debt is running in the opposite direction, it's like climbing a hill with a backpack full of bricks. And let me give you the tough love version here. If your card is not being paid in full every month, that needs your attention, fast. Not because you should feel guilty, but because interest does not care about your intentions. It just keeps taking. For some people, the answer is a strict payoff plan. For others, it means cutting spending hard for a season. And for some, it means switching to debit or cash for a while so the bleeding stops. Whatever the method is, the goal is simple. Stop normalizing debt that keeps you stuck. Now, let's move to the benchmark that gets everybody's attention, net worth. Because income tells you what comes in, but net worth tells you what you've actually kept. And this is where the comparison game gets really interesting. If you are under 35, the median net worth is about $39,000. If you are between 35 and 44, the median net worth jumps to about $135,600. Now, are those numbers better than what a lot of people expect? Yes. But are they still lower than what most people assume others have? Also, yes. Because again, social media lies. A lot of people look rich, a lot fewer people are rich. And then we get to retirement savings, which might be the biggest wake-up call in this entire conversation. The median retirement savings for American families is $87,000. Now, let's translate that into real life. Using a 4% withdrawal rule, $87,000 generates only about $3,480 per year. That's around $290 a month. $290 a month. That is not a retirement plan. That is a warning sign. And yes, Social Security helps. The average monthly retirement benefit is now around $2,071. But let me ask you a very simple question. Could you live comfortably on that, plus maybe a few $100s from savings? For most people, the answer is no. That's why retirement is not just about age, it's about cash flow. And this is where a lot of Americans are in trouble. The average reported retirement age is around 61, but many people are retiring into a reality they cannot actually afford. And if you're planning for a retirement that could last 20 years, maybe 25 years, maybe longer, you need more than hope. You need assets. You need income. You need margin. So what does all of this mean? It means if you feel behind, you're probably comparing yourself to an illusion. But it also means this. Average is not safe. Average is stressed. Average is carrying debt. Average is undersaving for retirement. Average is buying things that look impressive, but delay freedom. And that leads to the most important part of this video. How do you beat the averages? First, save more than average. Right now, the US personal savings rate is only 4%. That is not enough if you want options later. If you want to retire comfortably or early, you should be aiming closer to 10 to 15% for retirement, if at all possible. Second, attack high-interest debt aggressively. If your money is going into 20+% interest, your financial future is getting taxed before it ever has a chance to grow. Third, stop using big purchases as proof that you're doing well. The average new car transaction price is now $49,000, almost 50 grand for a car. And home buyers are making historically high down payments just to survive this market. So if you choose a cheaper car or delay the upgrade or buy less house than the bank says you can afford, that is not falling behind. That is called creating breathing room. And breathing room is how wealth gets built. Not with flashy decisions, with disciplined ones. Not by looking rich, by getting stronger. That's the shift. The people who get ahead financially are not always the people who earn the most. A lot of times, they're the people who avoid the traps. They avoid lifestyle inflation. They avoid revolving debt. They avoid buying status symbols they can't actually support. And instead, they buy time. That's what wealth really does. It buys time. It buys options. It buys peace. It buys the ability to say no to bad jobs, bad debt, and bad pressure. So no, don't let these numbers discourage you. Let them wake you up. If you're doing better than average in some areas, great, keep going. If you're behind in some areas, fine, now you know. And awareness is where momentum starts. Because once you stop comparing yourself to curated internet fantasy and start comparing yourself to real benchmarks, you can finally build a plan that works in real life. So here's the bottom line. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to have everything figured out. And you do not need to look rich. You need to be intentional. Spend with purpose. Save with urgency. Kill bad debt. Invest consistently, and remember that every smart move you make today is buying freedom for the future version of you. That is how you move from average to stable, from stable to strong, and from strong to truly free. If this video hit home, comment below. Which statistic surprised you the most? Comment down below. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start climbing, stay with me, because this is how we build real wealth. Don't forget to check the description below for all the links. Click, sign up, and start taking control of your finances today. They're completely free to sign up.